Good morning. My name is Thea Alvin, and I'm a sculptor, and I live in a town called Morrisville, Vermont. And next to my house, there's a huge project that's been in planning for a couple of years now, maybe 2.5, or maybe even longer than that. It involves taking a farm field with a wooded knoll on it and turning that into a very large industrial park. The area was zoned industrial because it's adjacent to the airport. I live near the airport, but I also live in an agricultural and residential community. And so when the zoning changed, a lot of us didn't really pay attention to it. And now the change has happened, we are going to be facing a very dramatic difference in our environment. The fields that were a cornfield and a hay field are now going to become places where factories are built and manufacturing facilities will occupy them. It could be something like a hotel. It couldn't be something like a restaurant. It could be something like a food hub or a distillery or a brewery, but probably not something like a brothel. So there are lots of varieties of things that are considered industrial. And the vast unknown of them is concerning for us. The fact that it would be an 89-acre industrial park would make it the largest industrial park in northern Vermont, and a very big difference for our very beautiful and scenic environment here. I'd like to introduce you to the project that is happening next to my house. It involves an 89-acre parcel of a 437-acre tract of land. The 89-acre parcel includes a 12-acre rocky knoll covered in trees, and it involves a water source protection area, which is located in this area underneath of the rocky ledge. In the rocky ledge is the source for, one of the sources for the Ryder Brook, and there's also endangered species that live in the wetlands that are on the land and in the knoll itself. The project is to transform this area that has already been zoned as an industrial use area into an industrial park where there would be 26 lots that will be set up to manufacture goods. We don't know what the goods are that they're intending to manufacture, and that's not really important to the conversation at this moment, but the fact that they would remove the hill and use that crushed and blasted material to create roads, driveways, and then sell the remainder is of concern. The intention is that they would have 1,891 jobs offered at these 26 factories. They would use 28,000 gallons of water a day that they would have drawn on a well in an adjacent piece of property and stored in two 100,000 gallon tanks up off the Stagecoach Road. So what we're talking about, though, is part of what the conversation is about is the dynamiting of that hill. And I use the word dynamite. I understand that that's not actually technically what's happening, but for reference, it will blow up the hill. These are the telephone poles of the main transmission line from Stowe into Morrisville. And, you know, for all intents and purposes, the blowing up the hill won't damage those. They've promised that they won't, and it seems reasonable that they wouldn't. But the project would be 10 years of blasting and crushing this material so that they can really sell it for millions of dollars of profit. The fact that there is a quarry proposed in this area of town is against the town plan. Our town plan says new quarries can only be operated in the industrial area, the specialized area, which is east of the Garfield Road and north of the Lamoille River. So that's not this area. So that's thing one. A quarry being operated for 10 years is not allowed in this area. Thing two is that right underneath of here where they're blasting and clear cutting is a protected water area. It's called the Source Protection Area, and this serves the town of Morrisville. The town barn off the Cochrane Road and the Pinecrest Mobile Home Park are in this source protected area. Additionally, there are endangered species on the property, including the federally endangered northern long-eared bat, and the grasshopper sparrow. In addition to that, this field is incredibly wet. It's full of wetlands. These are my little wetland areas here. You can know that when you drive by, you see the corn grows fairly poorly. You can see where it's wet, and on wet years, it's very wet. So we are going to be addressing the criteria, which go from air pollution, water supply, impacts, erosion, traffic, education, municipal, ecosystem, the quarry itself, and local and regional plans. We're going to be addressing these 10 criteria on March the 12th at a meeting held in the Tegu building in Morrisville, where if you have party status, you're allowed to participate in the meeting. If you don't have party status, but you do care about what's going on in the town and what will be surrounding our community, it would be important to show up and just observe and participate in the process by being there. Let me share with you what 133 cars look like parked at lot 22. If you had a helicopter view and you flew out of the airport, this is what those manufacturing buildings would look like. These are the roads that they've proposed. They'll put up trees along the very edge. But they need to use the majority of the land for their septic systems and for their roadways. Part of the reason why I wanted to do this particular study was to look at how many cars were going to be there. If 1,891 employees work there, where do their cars go? In lot 22, for example, there are 133 employees proposed for that building. Even though we don't know what they're going to be doing, that's how much water is allotted to this building. Whereas they said this much area is going to be for the loading bays, the visitors, the driveway, and the parking lot. This is actually 133 cars at the scale of this building. And you can see that those cars don't fit in that parking lot. Additionally, you don't park cars front to back like that. But understanding what's going to happen there is very important to understanding how massive this park is. This industrial park, in fact, is the largest in northern Vermont. And it's very important for us to know that an entire town worth of people and industry is going to be happening in this field adjacent to the airport. This little fleck you see located here, that's a car. That's a single car in this area. That'll give you a sense of the scale that we're talking about. We're going to be having the meeting to discuss this massive industrial park and its impacts, the impacts on these 10 criteria, on March 12th at 11:30 in the Tegu building in town. Whether or not you can actually participate in the conversation, being in the room is enlightening and important. It's an opportunity, just like town meeting day, to participate by observation of the process that's going on around you. So this project, I can tip it for you to see, is really extreme. A much smaller version of it would be something welcome and sustainable for our community. We do not feel that a 12-acre quarry in this location is in our town plan. We do not feel that the endangerment of this source protected water area is appropriate at this time or ever. We don't feel that 28,000 gallons of water used a day is appropriate. It endangers hundreds and hundreds of homes in the area that draw on that aquifer. It's 804 feet deep, that well. We do not feel that adding 1,891 cars to our roadway going both directions, plus the construction vehicles, is appropriate. We do not feel that the natural habitat destruction is appropriate or justified, or that paying the money to offset moving the animals and destroying their ecosystem is the right thing to do. So we have mounted a fight and raised what we consider a really good argument in order to try and scale this whole thing back. And that meeting is happening, and we're really excited to go and to stand up for ourselves and to hope to make a difference, that makes it reasonable and achievable goals that do not have such strenuous and dramatic and irreversible effects on our environment and our community. I understand that not everybody is going to have the enthusiasm that I do for the project because it directly impacts me. The traffic, the noise, the destruction of the environment, these are things very near and dear to my heart. I have a small farm located right at the end of this project. I also have a sculpture park. I also enjoy peace. I also have created a little world for myself here that I invite the public to enjoy the peace and the comfort and to participate in. And having this catastrophic, dramatic, irreversible nightmare next door is something that makes me really, really angry. And this is my angry face. I want to invite you to see my sculpture park and enjoy my space and learn with me in this environment and not have the ecosystem impacts right next door that erase all of that with blasting caps and crushers and dump trucks and pollution and silica and all of the scary, dangerous things. So I'm fighting, and I invite you to fight with me.